Hello, Ryan here, and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all of the news from the week just past. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get on with it. This week, Alpha 3.22.1 continues its testing on the ePTU. The replication layer split has another new test, plus there is a lot of new events going on. So as usual, let us quickly chat about what is going on with all of the testing channels and what new patches have released since the last Star Citizen Sunday. For Alpha 3.22.1, there has been 4 new ePTU patches, and it has now opened up to Wave 4 testers, and these patches have seen major changes to master modes, with a lot of balancing and Pirate Swarm becoming an available game mode, with a few more ships as well set up for testing master modes properly. Now I have run through the 13 waves of Pirate Swarm in a Hornet, and thoroughly enjoyed the experience, having to adjust my tactics on the fly depending on what ships came with what wave, what ships I was fighting, and how many of them were there based on each wave. For example, trying to outmaneuver the fighters for better positions, going on the defensive when I was outnumbered, which was pretty terrifying, and then keeping my distance from larger ships like the Hammerhead or Connie, waiting for my opportunity to go in on a gun run when I felt the orientation of the ship presented a good opening, and then trying to keep my distance again, presenting a narrower side or cross section so I don't get destroyed by the turrets. And I did this PvE, not with other players, which will be a lot more fun coordinating between other players as and when necessary. So really enjoying where things are going, how it is looking and coming together, and learning more about ship combat as they continue to update it. I do suggest giving it a go if it is something you're interested in. I'm sure there's a lot more to do to really hone this whole experience, but so far, I'm really enjoying it. With the latest couple of 3.22.1 patches, they also released an Arena Commander Gravlev race, which at first I wasn't actually able to get in, but now I can, and it is exhilarating. So far I have tried the Dragonfly and the Nox on a few of the maps, and it is so much fun, very dangerous if you push it too hard, but I am so happy to see these ground races coming along, and I will continue to practice and hopefully improve and then start competing too. Now in regards to the replication layer testing, there is a new test currently ongoing in which they have performed many updates to the services to help with the issues seen during the previous test, and for this one in particular, every shard with the replication layer split from the server will be tested. Server crash recovery is enabled, and although they say they have improved the recovery system, it should still take several minutes to recover while they gather network data to see how the character databases behave. Also, it is worth pointing out that the replication layer card on the roadmap was moved out of the 3.22 branch and into the 3.23 branch, as they clearly have more testing to do, and it looks like things won't be ready while we are still playing the 3.22 branch itself, which is a big shame, but I would rather it gets the testing that it needs. So some great stuff going on there, not just for the replication layer, but for 3.22.1, as this will come to live sooner with many more updates and improvements. Now there were no Alpha 3.23 tests for the ePTU, but that will continue soon I'm sure, as there is a lot to test with that patch. So this week's Inside Star Citizen was a look at all of the work the branding team are doing for the verse. So Montreal has been building a branding team whose responsibility is firstly to amend all of the current manufacturers in the verse and establish a unified vision and consistency for every brand that there is, as over the years with various designers, for example working on each ship like Drake, they have all put their own spin and styling on it. Now the team doesn't just work on posters and logos, they're also involved in many areas of the game and work with many of the teams too. And they say an important part of their work is building an environment and selling the realism and immersion. Recently they have been helping to work on the landing zones, making them more navigable by adding signage and maps, which was, I think, part of this new player experience. And this team is also heavily involved right now in unifying all of the ship brands and ensuring that its marketing and styles are all on cue, and again making the brands more consistent. Now Star Citizen is certainly a game that needs a real-life sort of branding team to give the vehicles especially the attention that they deserve, just like we see in the real world with car manufacturers, and every vehicle brand has a style guide and a branding guide that helps everyone else in the company to understand more about who this manufacturer is, like their colours, the topography, the shapes they use, which as you can see already is really helping to just shape this realism in the verse. The team have also worked on tools to help them do their work better, and so they have been working on an in-house brand catalogue, which holds all of the manufacturer branding information for all of the development teams to keep their work cohesive, and they started this off with ship manufacturers and will eventually expand to every brand in the verse. The branding team have also helped work on Pyro, with the gangs helping to establish their graffiti by giving the gangs tags and murals, making the space of each gang look appropriate for the gang themselves, presenting their identity. So basically players will know who's in charge of a location the minute that they walk in. They will recognize that identity. And they've also helped to design the tattoos for the various gangs, again giving each gang a unique look and feel. Now, although many won't find this kind of content overly exciting to learn about, but I personally really love to see these topics, as it truly shows how much effort and detail there is in Star Citizen, and how all the groups, all the development teams, stemming from narrative, go to such depths to make the verse feel as real as possible and the game be as good and immersive as possible as well. But not only that, it's great to see a more consistent identity between the brands, giving a more coherent look and feel to everything in the verse. Also, next week's Inside Star Citizen will be looking at the distribution centers coming in 3.23 and their associated missions, which will be great to get a lot more insight into what to expect. But that was a great episode of Inside Star Citizen, but let us move on. So also this week, the first roadmap update of the year went out, revealing many more new planned 3.23 features, all of which I have covered here on YouTube. I will link that video below. Both the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42 monthly reports released this week as well. I will be working on dedicated videos for each of these this next week, so do keep your eyes peeled for them. The Lunar New Year celebration has begun with the usual Red Letter Festival, giving players a chance to search for red letters filled with Alpha UEC. These are all hidden around the verse in various places. And Coromore also kicked off, which is the sort of inverse Valentine's Day, with more contests and items to get on with. And finally, Star Citizen Live this week was a hangout with a few of the longer-term members of Cloud Imperium. Nothing new to learn about Star Citizen's development, more of a chilled chat about who they are and what they do. So that brings us to the end of the show. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, I am able to do this thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. If you appreciate what I do and would like to help make it even better from as little as $1 a month, all of the links are provided below.